What's good, my lovely peoples? It's your main man, Solace here, the humble wise one. I want everybody to humble their spirits out and grasp this concept. Now, a lot of people have anger and hate within them already. So it's easy for them to get hateful and angered for anything. Now, I want y'all to grasp this. Anyone who has hate and anger within them, it starts with their parents, meaning something their parents did to them pissed them off in their life, and this is where that hate and anger begin to grow. And then other people pissed and angered them off, and it added on, all the way up into adulthood. Now, it's a deep thing you have to grasp, because anyone who has hate and anger within them, I guarantee you, if you did, it will start there. The first time you felt hate and anger, they got the oldest they could remember is some type of animosity against a parent. Now, I want y'all to grasp this, because whatever the hate or anger it is that the parent caused the child, which is an adult now, whatever that hate or anger would have had to been either boiled down to two things: time or a material desire, gift, or whatever. But time and a physical thing. Now, it's a deep thing you have to grasp, because when you're conceived, meaning when your parents conceive you and you're born, you're given time in the physical. Grasp how deep that is. Whatever a person is mad at their parents for, it has to either boil down to time, either not spent with them, or a material thing. When the child is born, they're given both time and the material life. And it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp, because balancing two lives or two times is an impossible thing. So whatever time that you got with your parent was theirs, but it had to be shared with you. But you have your time. So you have to look at it like this. When you're with your parent, you're on your time. Your parent is on your time because they have to mind you. When your parent is not with you, they're on their time. You're on your time still. So grasp how deep that is. When I say having to balance two times is impossible. So now I look at it like this. My mother, she was there for me. The times that she wasn't there for me, that was her time. Because you can't balance two times. Meaning, whenever she's with me, this is my time. But even if she isn't with me, it's still my time. Grasp how deep that is for the child. When the parent is with the child, it is the child's time. When the parent isn't with the child still has its time. But now the parent gets to get their time too. So now you have to grasp. You're given life and the material things that come with it. Time and material things. But the life has been taken over. So it's a deep thing you got to grasp. The life has been taken over, and all the things that the life gives for free is taken over. And men have to work for it, and stress and strain adds on. This is where hate and anger and people not being able to see the life clearly for what it truly is, this is where it's all lost. Because you have to grasp. Anything a person may want in this life comes from the life. Meaning, Whatever you may want or angered about for not having, you have because you have life. Grasp. When you come from the unphysical to the physical, being as though this is the way y'all like to think. You came from the unphysical realm. I'm not going to argue with anyone. You came from the unphysical realm into this physical realm. And this is where all the physical things are. So grasp how deep that is. When your mother gave birth to you, you was given all you could ever want and desire. Even if you didn't think to want a thing, it's here. Everybody don't want the same things that everybody wants. But whatever a person may want, it's here. New things are thought of, and you get my point. So the life that you was given when you was born was everything that you could have wanted is in the life. So you have people that would be mad and say, man, I wasn't given all the things I wanted as a child. Other kids had more than me. I was never given this as a child from my parents or that as a child from my parents. But you were, because you was given life where all of these things you want are. But the thing is, the life has been screwed over and it's not your parents' fault. Grasp how deep it is. It's everybody's fault because everybody goes with the way things are, where you work and slave for what the life already produces freely. See, life is a beautiful gift y'all don't grasp because of the way we live. When you're born, you get to have any physical thing you want. This is how beautiful life is. If you want food, the life produces it. Grasp how deep that is. Yeah, we go to the store and buy food, but all that food comes from a farm, which comes from the land. So grasp. You're born into this life, and all the food you want is here. And all the materials for whatever you can think of is here for you. So if you want a house, the wood and stone, everything you need to make it is here. Now, we live in a system where you work so somebody else can make it, and that's their work. And you grasp how deep that is? Everybody's working for everybody, unconsciously realizing it, it's all free. Grasp that. If everybody does what they do freely with the life, then everything in the life will be free. Everybody works and does something for somebody else for paper. You're still doing it for free. Grasp how deep that is. It's no different concept, except imaginary paper and work was put into the mix. Another worker is coming to do whatever is being done. Grasp that. You work at the telephone company as a customer service rep. The person you talking to on the phone is a customer. They work for somebody doing something else. They work for Con Ed, which is your lights. So you see how that works? Everybody's a worker for somebody who's a worker too. The workers all work for what's already free. And it's a deep thing. So now a person to be mad at their parents and hold hate and anger for losing time or a material thing that they want, when it's always going to be like this. Everybody's going to have hate and anger for their parents, and then they're going to add to that hate and anger from their other relationships. Not because they're grimy or evil, but because of the stress and strain of how the life is. No one works together. Everyone works against, in competition. Grasp that. You got one world, which is the life we live in. And you have all the materials on this earth. And then you have all the people on this earth. So you have the people and you have the materials. And they can do whatever they want. So the people can all band together and learn whatever they do, branch off. You have to grasp. The earth is big enough where everybody can have 1 acre of land to themselves. Everybody on the planet. Now, it's more acres than that, probably 20. But I'm just being modest. Everybody could have 1 acre of land. Everybody could work together and just have all the stuff that we already have. Grasp that. The person who is making true religions work. The person who built your building is a worker. So all the workers is already doing everything. So you have to grasp how deep that is. Now, if one person in the world decides I'm taking over the life and everybody's going to work, then that's the system you have. You see how simple that is? You got the world, and the world produces everything that the people could think of to do with it. And then you have the people. Now, depending on how dumb the people are, is whatever system they're working. But everything's still free. Grasp that. You pay for apples, but they're still free. Because you have to ask yourself, who owns apples? Nobody. Nobody made apples. Nobody made food. The life made food before people was here. So grasp how deep that is. So who can own food? Why do you pay for food? If the life is what's producing the food. Why do you pay for clothing if the life is what produces the cotton and animal hides and all the different materials of clothing we have? If the life produces this, then who owns these things? Nobody. But you work for them. Why don't people just work together learning these things and just live freely with no strain? Grasp. More things are produced than are needed. So a lot of things are recycled over. More true religion genes are produced than are bought. So grasp how deep that is. But they're not given to those who don't have. They're recycled over into new genes. So grasp how deep that is. This is how hard people are working for free stuff. Because those who are making it are working hard. Those who are buying it, they're working somewhere hard. The life is a competition. And it's sad because it makes no sense. Grasp how deep this is. You got Meek Mill and Drake beefing. Now this is where it's funny. Because Drake was who he was before the beef. And Meek Mill was who he was before the beef. Meaning they were both successful artists coexisting, and they would have continued to coexist as they are. Now they decide to beef with each other, and usually when people beef, one will disappear and the other will continue to exist. And I want y'all to grasp how deep that is. In all aspects of the life. Not just Meek Mill and Drake, but David and Goliath. The drug dealers beefing over the corner. I want y'all to grasp how deep that is. They were coexisting before the beef. Then they beefed and one disappears. With the Meek Mill and Drake, Meek Mill was the one that had to disappear. He was getting ambushed. So grasp that. Two people successfully coexisting. Then they decide to beef and one disappears. Why did they have to compete? They both was fine. But we just subconsciously do this. We have to compete in everything, and it's crazy because why? This is life. Life is not a competition. Life is what you make it. Y'all gotta really truly grasp what's going on. The things that's being built and made is the thought of someone. And we all live it. This is someone's reality. Simple. This is someone's reality. I wanted to make North America a city. So the men of the past that came here seen the land and said, I want to make this place look like Europe. But better, we could start fresh. And so they did. And now we live in their idea. So grasp how deep that is. You live how you choose. If someone comes up with an idea and people just live, because no one's forced. This idea wasn't forced. People just begin to get lost and go with it. You have to grasp, slavery would have never existed if slaves didn't go with it. Now, I know you're trying to think, how did slaves even go with that? I know they did because slavery existed. And the only way it exists is if a motherfucker lets you make them a slave. So now I want you to grasp. You like, yeah, that's deep, but why would a nigga even let a nigga make him a slave? I could have just died instead of being a slave. Well, it's the same way now. When the slave don't know he is slave, this is how. Now, I know y'all like, nah, it's different now than before. No, it ain't. They was getting hung and mistreated back in the day, but they didn't know they were slaves, because this is how everybody lived back in the day. Same now. We get mistreated, gunned the fuck down. Nobody goes to jail. It's no big deal. Same mistreatment. Niggas are still getting hung today. You just don't see it on the news because it's somewhere in the woods in back alley, Alabama or somewhere. In the back alleys of Alabama somewhere, in the forest. But it's still happening. So you just got to grasp. If you don't know you were slave and everybody just go with it, then it is what it is. And this is how men were slaved out in the past, and this is how men are slaved out now. It puts slaves in a competing mindset. Think how deep that is. In every aspect of the life and things we do, we make it a competition. Even in corporate, they compete. In the music industry, they compete. Everything is a competition, even though everybody is already coexisting successfully until you add the competition in the mix. Grasp how deep that is. It's like a Monopoly game. They got the whole life playing a Monopoly game. And everybody's playing on the board, never thinking to themselves, hold up, I can have my own board. I don't have to play. It's a deep thing. Whoever owns the board you're playing on, which would be the bank, if the players don't play, the bank still own the board and all the things that's on the board. This is how Monopoly goes. When you play Monopoly, you got a whole bunch of players and you got the bank and he owns the board. And the players basically borrow and buy stuff. They borrow from the bank to buy stuff. And then they always wind up in debt. You know, the life that you live. But if nobody played, or all the players end up in jail, the bank is still good. Now, why didn't the players just get their own board? Or ever think to themselves, I'll just get my own board. Don't think that way. Just play the game. Nobody said you can't have 2 Monopoly boards. And I'm the bank too. And be playing on both boards. Grasp how deep that is. Nobody thinks of that. No one ever put 2 Monopoly boards together and said, I'm bank too and you can be bank. What a nigga gonna say? That's against the rules? How? It's a separate board. Same rules. I got my own board. And then the next person say, yeah, I got my own board. And I know y'all thinking like, well, then ain't nobody playing on the game. And that's my point. We ain't got to play games. This life. We can all have our own board. What are we losing? All the pieces come with the game. The whole board is the game, and all the pieces come with it. And whoever is bank owns the board and all the pieces. Grasp how deep that is. So a person will say, everybody can't have their own board in Monopoly. Why not? What would be lost? Nothing. It'll be gained. If all the players decided, I'm going to get my own board and put it next to yours, it wouldn't be a game anymore, but everyone would have their own board. But that's never thought of. And this is how we live in this world, and it's absurd. It's your main man, Solace. Please try to grasp the things I say. It starts with self. If you ugly inside and feel ugly inside, and make ugly decisions, we got to really start taking a moment to self and thinking. This is the only way to really truly gain the knowledge, understanding how life works. Give, receive, balance out. It's a deep thing. It's your main man, Solace.